If you want to consume a grain of wheat, you cannot use that same grain to plant next year's crop. Every economic decision historically begins with this physical limit. To have one thing, you must give up another. To manage this limit, classical economics developed the concept of homo economicus, a rational agent who looks at a fixed, pre-existing menu of options and selects the one that provides the most utility. This chart of choices is kept in balance by price. If a commodity is rare, its price rises, signaling agents to adjust their selections. This mechanism forms the basis of competitive equilibrium. The structure of modern trade is built on this physical law. Producing a specific output requires the sacrifice of an alternative. This framework is built for the world of physical objects. It begins to struggle when applied to information-intensive digital production. As computational infrastructure scales, the marginal cost of producing an additional copy of a digital realization drops towards zero, like a software module or a legal brief. The initial generation has a cost, but the thousandth realization is effectively free to produce. This chart shows how that dropping cost changes the supply curve. When the cost of a realization hits zero, the line flatlines horizontally. There is no longer a standard intersection point where a market-clearing price can form. Without a price that reflects the scarcity of individual units, the market loses its primary tool for signaling value. Scarcity is a contingent assumption. It holds as long as production costs stay above zero. When those costs vanish, the driver of the economy shifts. This shift replaces the rational actor with a computative agent. This agent doesn't choose between fixed items. It uses processing power, an objective, and a model to generate its own alternatives. The result is a generated possibility space. Instead of trading a single product, value lies in producing limitless variations. In this space, the opportunity cost is the foregone allocation of processing power. If price no longer anchors individual units, how do agents coordinate their actions? Coordination happens through recursive equilibrium. Rather than clearing a market through a price vector, agents optimize their internal models based on the verified outputs of others. The loop requires two steps. First, individual optimality. Each agent allocates compute to maximize generative quality. Second, model consistency. Models update continuously based on verified network performance. The signal that guides this system is not a single price. It is a composite of three factors: access to compute, a record of verified reputation, and capacity for high-quality results. Coordination in this network is the result of these recursive updates across independent models. The equilibrium is a configuration where no agent can improve its generative quality given the configurations of the others. This creates a unique governance problem. The final outputs of the system are non-rival, meaning they can be consumed without being used up, but the computational power used to generate them is finite and rival. This turns generative capacity into a shared resource, requiring the same kind of commons governance pioneered by Elinor Ostrom. Governance must shift its focus. Because the consumer goods are infinite, the priority is no longer preventing overuse by consumers. The priority is preventing the degradation of the generative substrate itself, such as the hoarding of compute or the capture of model architectures. To maintain this system, networks rely on domain-specific reputation. This acts as a verified record of an agent's performance, ensuring that access to the generative network is tied to demonstrated competence. Policy tools like price controls are difficult to apply here. While they are effective at managing the consumption of finished goods, they do not address the primary constraint, the allocation of processing power and the governance of the models themselves. This does not make neoclassical economics obsolete. It remains the framework for the physical domain, where marginal costs are bounded above zero. We live in a dual reality. A physical world of scarcity houses an expanding digital world of abundance. While that individual grain of wheat will always be scarce, the production of cognitive and information-intensive goods now largely relies on the server farm. In this environment, economic distribution is no longer driven primarily by land or labor. It is determined by the distribution of access to computational infrastructure.